Hey guys, welcome to our YouTube channel, and in today's video we're going to talk about 10 mistakes that you need to avoid when throwing a jab. Okay, so mistake number one. Dropping the hand before you throw the punch. You'd be surprised how much I see this in the gym. Okay, so people are in their boxing stance, and the first thing you see happen is his hand drops here and then throws the punch. Okay, see it all of the time. Avoid it like the plague. Here, it drops, then throws. It wants to go from your chin straight out to you. Okay, from your chin straight out to your target and straight back again. Avoid this one a lot. It's not good at all. Right hand's coming in all day long. From the chin, straight out and back. So mistake number two, leading on from that, dropping the hand after the punch. Again, something I see all of the time in any gym I've been to. You see it happen. They throw a good jab to begin with. They're here, the jab goes out and rolls down afterwards. And the amount of times I have arguments with people with this. You're dropping your hand after the punch. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. Okay, it goes out, rolls back. You see it comes out, rolls and back. Same as number one, it goes straight out, straight back. You need to stay defensively responsible all of the time. This is not defensively responsible. This is not defensively responsible, but it's a common mistake, and avoid it like the plague. So mistake number three, leaning forward and not rotating. Another one, very, very common, particularly in your beginning journey of boxing. We have this thing where we don't understand body mechanics yet. So what we tend to do is we lean forwards on the punch. What I mean by that, instead of rotating, leaning forwards here. Instead of rotating the upper body like so. Yeah, or rotate. So when you're leaning forwards, what you're effectively doing, you're putting your head into a closer range. This is a long range attack. So if you're leaning forward, you're putting your head into mid-range. Okay, so you want to avoid that like the plague. Instead, you're rotating from the hips and the shoulders, getting that same range that you would do if you was leaning forwards and not rotating. Big mistake. Don't do it. Work on them rotations. Everything in boxing is a rotation. Okay, so don't do that one. That's a big no-no. Mistake number four, guys, flaring the elbow. Okay, I see this in beginners, intermediates, you even see it in some advanced people. Okay, flaring the elbow. What that is as you're releasing the punch, the elbow lifts and then the punch comes from here. The reason why you're doing that, your thumb is connected to the opposite side of your elbow. So you're probably turning your hand over too quickly. What I mean by that, as you release the punch, you're already turning your hand. Watch what happens to my elbow. I turn the hand, my elbow flares. Okay? When you think about it, this is a hinge joint. If you're finding on your heavy bag, you're doing your heavy bag drills, you're working your jab, and you're thinking, my jab is feeling pretty weak, I can't get no snap, can't get no power on my jab. It's probably because you're flaring your elbow, okay? This is a hinge joint. What it means, that's a hinge. So when my elbow lifts, if I slow this down and you look at the trajectory of my jab now, it actually arcs. Yes, because this is a hinge joint. So your power is going this way. Now I can kind of correct that with rotation, which we spoke about previously, but this is still going to be an arc. No matter how much I try and correct that, if I start my elbow here, that's going to arc. Yes, that comes down a straight line when I pull my shoulder back. However, that's an arc. So your power is still going this way. To fix that, release the hand and turn the hand over on the last part of the punch. So from here, the elbow stays underneath the hand, it goes out, I rotate, and it turns over at the last part of the punch. Notice there's no flare. When I turn the hand too early, the elbow flares, okay? And that's also something your opponent will be looking at. See the elbow flare, they're going to get that head off that line. So work on that. It's what we call sending the punch versus bending the punch. Okay, very common problem. Work on getting that correct. Straight out, straight back. Don't flare that elbow. Mistake number 5, and one that you are probably doing unless that you have a coach looking at you and telling you you're doing it, or you're shadow boxing in a mirror. Another common one. We know when we're in our stance we're supposed to have our chin down. So this mistake is looking over the punch. Okay, so your hands are here. Right hand is on your chin, or left hand if you're a southpaw. Obviously just switch that round. So your chin is down, and as you throw the punch, people look over the punch from here. If I turn to the side, you'll see it. So they're in a good boxing stance, and as they throw the hand, chin comes up and looks over the punch. Very, very common. You see it on the other punches as well, on your 1-2s or just your 2s. Chin comes up and look over the punch. Don't do it. You're exposing your chin. This is where you get knocked out, okay? You need to be keeping that protected at all times. Keep that chin down as you send in the punch out. Look how protected my chin is from here, on my shoulder. I can't see my chin. I'm looking over the punch. Whoa, that chin is getting rattled, okay? Keep that chin down to avoid that common mistake. So mistake number 6 then, dropping the rear hand. Again, this is something I recently had to take a load of pictures of someone in my gym when they were training because they were working on the bag, and I said, you're dropping that rear hand as you're throwing your jab. And they looked at me like I just told them the biggest lie in the world, okay? So they were throwing the jab, and this hand's doing this, here, okay? And I said, don't do that, you're dropping your rear hand. I said, no, I'm not. I said, yes, you are. No, I'm not. Look. I said, yeah, you dropped your hand. And they said, no, I didn't. Look, it's here, and I throw a punch, and it's here. I haven't dropped my hand. Yes, you have. It's very, very common. You have to think about what's going on behind the punch. What I mean by that is, yes, this is the punch. You have to think about what's going on behind that punch. All too often, we're thinking too much about making good contact with the pad, with the bag, with the opponent, forgetting what's going on behind the punch. And that is equally as important as the technique of the punch. Avoid this one. Jab goes out, hand drops, comes back up. Honestly, see it all of the time. Get yourself in front of a mirror, okay? Look at yourself in the mirror and see if you're doing that. There, okay? Very, very common. Bad mistake, don't do it. You're getting hooked. Okay guys, mistake number 7. Very similar to mistake number 6, but one again you want to avoid. Okay, so pulling the rear hand, otherwise known as bow and arrowing. Okay, so as the jab goes out, hand pulls back in. You can see why we call it bow and arrowing, yes? Pulls back. Very commonly done with one of the previous mistakes, when you lean forwards, okay? This happens here, bap, okay? Or just the fact that you're rotating heavily, you're really concentrating on your good form and good body mechanics, and as you pull back, you pull that hand away, okay? So all of the time, another mistake to avoid. Concentrate on what's going on behind the punch, guys. It will make a huge difference to your boxing ability. So mistake number 8, something to do with loading the shot, okay? So if you are a right-hander, like myself, although I can switch stance, okay? But I'm predominantly a right-hander, so your lead hand is your less dominant hand. If we're not thinking about really good body mechanics, there's a huge chance, and you might not even realize there's a huge chance that you're loading this shoulder to try and throw the jab. What I mean by that, I'll do it super slow, is pull that shoulder back to throw the jab. It's telegraphing, it tells your opponent you're about to throw the shot, and the reason why you're doing it is probably because you're trying to get more power in the shot. You're here, pull it back and throw. Pull it back and throw. It's another one to avoid. Yes, you might feel like you're getting a harder punch. You probably are, but you're forgiving the fact that you could be getting a better punch with good body mechanics, keeping that elbow underneath the hand, pulling the shoulder back, nice and defensively responsible here. Okay, so try to avoid loading the shoulder. See it all the time. But don't do it. Right, we're getting to the end though. Mistake number 9. Again, very beginner mistake. I see it in my gym a lot where you tell people to do this and they just feel silly. Oh, I'm not doing that, I feel silly. What if people are watching me? The mistake is not moving your head before and or after the punch, okay? You see people working their mechanics, my head is on what we call lane 2, okay? Everything's coming down lane 2. And I stay here and I throw the punch and I stay here. That's cool. If you're working your mechanics, by all means do that. In an ideal situation, your head's going to be moving, you're going to pop that jab and move your head afterwards, okay? If I told you to punch my hand and I held it here like so, you'd hit it no problem. If I'm moving my hand, right, punch my hand, and I'm not doing any particular pattern, that's a lot harder to punch. So mistake number 9, not moving your head before or after the punch. Here, hop, easy target. Moving your head, moving your feet before and after the punch will make your boxing so much better. Make sure you're getting that into your practices, guys. Okay, so mistake number 10. Very, very beginner, and to be fair, people feel silly when they're doing this as well, and the mistake is not breathing when you punch. If you force an exhale, you'll force an inhale. People make lots of silly noises when they do. You do not have to make a silly noise at all, okay? Me personally, depends if I'm going on power, but normally I'm just like, okay? I force an exhale, which makes me force an inhale. Therefore, I'm breathing, I'm regulating my breath. If you was to go outside and run as fast as you can until you can't run any further and held your breath, you're not gonna get very far. So start working your jab and breathing, get used to that breathing on the end of the punch. I'm breathing out and breathing in again, because when you start putting your punches together and doing combinations and you hold your breath, say you're doing a 4-punch combination and you go, you get tired really quickly, and you'll find when you're doing your rounds, you're like that. Woo! Okay, we don't want to be like that. Breathe on your punch. And back. You can scream if you want to, that's okay. People do. You get some really weird noises, but make sure you're breathing on your punch. If you force an exhale, you will force an inhale. That's tip number 10. Make sure you're doing that when you're practicing your jab. Okay guys, there's my 10 beginner mistakes to avoid when you're throwing your jab. If you're liking the content, click subscribe, like the like button, and you'll see some more videos from us as well. But as a bonus, one other thing to think about, as a bonus. So a lot of people, when they push their punches, here's the secret sauce. You don't push a punch, you pull a punch. What I mean by that, when I want this hand to go forwards, I don't push from that shoulder, okay? I pull that shoulder. This all stays relaxed. This shoulder pulls back from there, pulls, yeah? I don't push that, I pull that. It's the same on the other punches. I know we're not talking about crosses, but if we're doing a jab cross, that jab's gone out. The secret is I pull this shoulder back, okay? I don't then push that one forwards, I pull that back. Okay, so work on that as well. Pull this shoulder back. When I'm doing the jab, I don't push that punch forwards, which goes back to what we were saying earlier about not leaning. When I push the shoulder, you will lean, okay? I pull that back. There. Things to work on, guys. Make your jab the best you possibly can. It is the #1 punch in boxing for a reason. It sets up your combinations, it gauges your range, it sets everything, sets the pace, all sorts. It needs to be your best punch. Non-dominant hand is going to get used the most. It sets everything. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and I'll see you next time.